men and women develop a bitterness and confrontational view of each other through a two-step process that is both very simple and also incredibly complex, because we're dealing with emotions and experiences, and things can get very blurry and messy, especially as time goes on, right? But the two-step process, in theory, is actually very simple. So it goes like this. First, you have an experience, right? A man has experience with a woman or vice versa. And by the way, if you're a woman watching this, this is a men's dating channel, but feel free to stick around. Everything I'm going to say is entirely symmetrical, and you can just turn it around and understand it completely well. And also, welcome. But to my dudes, so you have a bad experience with a girl. Okay, cool. Pretty much all of us have had that at some point. It could be just isolation and loneliness, right? So you're just getting rejected, just a lack of affection. And then you actually try and you get rejected, right? Because maybe you didn't even try, right? So you're just in a prison of your own making. So isolation, rejection, then you start to talk with her, but then it's a rejection later down the line, or you actually get together, and she breaks up with you or cheats with you or cheats on you. And then you can get into the like really crazy stuff like abuse, false accusations, tries to murder you. I don't know, right? I don't know how bad your experiences are. But okay, you have a bad experience. And let's say you're entirely correct about what happened, right? Let's say that, you really didn't do anything wrong. You're innocent. They fucked up. Now, that is not always true in every case, right? Some person watching this is going to have a bad experience where the girl was bad, but he also definitely played a part and wasn't entirely an angel himself. But let's presume that you were correct. Okay, cool. Then something happens where you get to here. And here is where you say most women or all women are blank. Negative. They're whores, they're cheaters, they're liars, they're dumb, they're retarded, whatever. Okay? Now, how did you get from here to here? What was the process? Usually, how it goes is a few different ways. One way is this is their only experience. And so this is their entire sample size, their entire sphere of knowledge when it comes to dating and relationships is this. And so they come to the conclusion because all women must be like this, right? Now, if that's you, it's understandable. I can empathize with the position, but clearly it's not a very easy to defend position, right? Now, I understand if whatever happened to you was extremely traumatic, or maybe it was someone close to you. Maybe you witnessed your father being emotionally abused or emasculated, or vice versa. Or, you saw your friend cheated on or get, divorce raped and everything taken from him. Who knows, right? Okay. So you don't have any other experiences. So it's the entirety of your experience. And so therefore all women must be this way. It's kind of hard to argue with you. You just have to get more experience, and you probably got a bad apple. Now, the person who maybe is a little more justified in their belief has a few more experiences, and they are consistent with this, right? Let's say you date 4 more women or go after 4 more women, and they all act the same way. So you have 5 women who are confirming that all women are bitches, cunts, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Then the question you have to ask yourself is, right, because we are going to investigate this, whether or not your anger is justified, right? And the way we find that out is we go into the why. The question you have to ask yourself is, if you found 5 bad women, is it more likely that most or all women are like this, or some combination of you're a bad judge of character and aren't picking the best women for a variety of reasons? It could be just, you're horny and you'll take anything you can get, so you just take the first thing that's available, and it happens to not be that great. Maybe you're not that attractive, so you can't really attract the higher quality women who have more options. And so you're left with the bottom of the barrel, right? Because if you just look at all things in life, there is the bottom and there is the top 1%, right? Net worth, athletic ability, artistic ability, memory, intelligence, creativity, everything in the world has a hierarchy, right? And so my question is, do you think maybe that also applies to people? A lot harder to judge, obviously, and there's a lot of subjective taste involved, but don't you think there is still some levels to this shit? Okay, so the question is, maybe you're just, rummaging around with the peasants, right? And that would unfortunately also mean that you might be a peasant. In some cases, some people are just really high value and have low self-esteem and just hang out with awful people. That does happen, but you might just fucking suck too. Okay, so bad judge of character, you suck, and again, you're making a pretty dumb conclusion based off of 5 women. All women must be this way. Okay. Then you have the guy who has a lot of experiences, and all the women tend to be X, whatever it is they say. Okay, now I'm pretty convinced that either you are inaccurately viewing the situation and in fact you're the problem, or you just fucking addicted to dog shit people. you just have horrible taste in people, right? Horrible taste in women, either physically or emotionally or whatever, right? If 100 women are dog shit awful, you either just the worst judge of character or you yourself are the problem, right? If I have 100 friendships and all of them get ruined, maybe I need to investigate the possibility that I'm the problem. It's possible, right? So in all those cases, you have some pretty valid counter arguments for maybe why you're wrong. But the reason, the way that this gets so fucked up is that this is the one thing where I actually can say that I think social media is playing a large part in it. Not that it's never been this way before, right? A lot of things like promiscuity or degeneracy, well, it's, social media. It's like, bro, if people have been fucked up since for fucking ever, right? You got to be, it's just like really stupid to think that like suddenly people have just changed, right? But the one thing that I can confidently say is probably exacerbated or amplified by social media is your ability to be brainwashed, right? Although really, honestly, even that might be wrong, because if you look at history, like, if you have an opinion and your village has an opinion, well, that's your social media, right? That's your echo chamber. Or, if you just go back 100 years, I know newspapers are still around, but, who the fuck reads those anymore? Maybe I'm wrong. But the newspaper, your specific propaganda printer is going to be telling you X and Y, right? Your lord is going to be giving you, his opinions on this other lord from across the fucking bay or whatever, right? But social media does have one thing that maybe we didn't have in the past, and that's just pure reach, right? And pure quantity. How many cell phones are out there taking videos of women being cunts, or how many people are telling their stories? And so your ability to find a quantity that is going to confirm your story is very, very high. And that's going to be very hard to argue against, because you're going to be like, well, fuck you, Hector. I don't just have 100 sample sizes. I have 1,000. I have 10,000. But if you actually think about it proportionally, that's still quite insignificant, right? And then I would also ask you, where are the positive stories? And if you tell me there's none, then I know you're fucking biased, right? There's no way there's no good stories out there. That's just retarded. There's almost nothing in the world that is just like absolute zero, right? But if you think of if you have 1,000 examples, okay, there's 8.5 billion people, half of that are men. That's still a pretty insignificant number, right? So it's very hard for you to be so epistemologically perfect, fancy philosophical word for the study of knowledge. Basically, how do we know something, right? How do you take your experiences and make them into knowledge, right? You have to be very sophisticated. It is possible to a certain extent, but you have to be very, very, very careful. And when you come to conclusions that like all women are X, you better be pretty certain that you're correct, right? You need to have a lot of experiences personally, a lot of experienced people nearby you, right? Not just things and then, reading on the internet can help inform you. But you have to be careful with how you are constructing these belief systems, right? And be very aware of your own biases. And you need to account for exceptions. So what's going to happen is at some point your negative experience is going to be fed by an algorithm through social media because it's designed to feed you what you like and what you watch. So of course you're going to continue to see it, right? So the biggest thing I would say is if you don't have any personal experiences outside of that one or two really bad situations, you need to get more. And then if you get more and they all confirm it, you need to be questioning, am I just a bad judge of character, right? Could I pick better people? And the way you know if there's even better people out there, right? You might say, well, there are no better women. Like, it doesn't matter if I judge well. They're all fucking sluts. I see comments like this all the time. They're all lying, cheating, whore cunts. Okay, have you ever met a cool woman? Ever? If the answer is no, you're probably off base. Because if I ask you the question, have you ever met a cool guy? And your answer is yes. Well, okay, that seems very strange, right? You have to show me why inherently there is something flawed with women, right? And it can't, and some guys will say, oh, well, it's our age, it's social media and this and that. Okay, well, you have to explain more in detail exactly how this is happening, right? And I don't actually disagree with some of the things, right? I'll give you some examples of like things that I think are genuinely wrong in the world, right? Just so maybe we can, soften this up and I don't seem like I'm totally against you. Do I think that in a lot of cases, marriage laws are very draconian and against men? Yes, I actually do agree with this. I think that it's very unfair towards men, especially when you get to the courts when it comes to having custody of children. I think that's very, very unfair towards men. Do I think that a lot of people are going to take the woman's side when it comes to things? Yes, I also think that that is something that is going to happen. But the reason that I agree with that is not because women are some protected class and they're given X and Y and Z. What I think is happening, and this has been happening since time immemorial, is that there's two reasons, essentially. Societies will go through swings of ultra-conservatism and ultra-liberalism, right? When you have ultra-conservatism, you have like Middle East situations where, men pretty much just do whatever they want. Then things will swing in extremes and you have ultra-liberalism. And in these cases, they become a little bit more matriarchal. I mean, at the very, very tippy top, there's still men in charge, but it generally becomes very pro-woman, right? And so it just swings. And some people have it unfair here and some people have it unfair here. And so I think that's what you see in a lot of cases. But two, I think this is a more underlying, consistent reason, irrelevant to what time and age you're in and what end of the pendulum you're at. The way that courtship works between men and women is that men are the initiators and women are the receivers, right? They follow. Because of that dynamic, a lot of interesting things happen, right? And one thing that is almost always going to be a consequence, and this is just because of how life works, most people just fucking suck, right? Or at least they're average, right? Or, below average. Depends if you're talking about the mean or the literal average. And because of that, basically men are just bad at seduction. Men are not attractive most times at most periods in history as an average. Because of that, they're going to find alternative ways to win, because they're not just going to sit there and accept defeat, right? they're going to find some way to win. And one of the most successful ways, because if it wasn't successful, they wouldn't do it. One of the most successful strategies is to simp, because at some point it does end up working, right? Because simping is very good generally for society, right? Men aren't too scoundrelly, right? Because if all the men were fucking alpha chads, it would also be a disaster, right? It's almost like it's not necessarily a good thing that you have these hierarchies of men, but it does create somewhat of a stable environment. Men at the top kind of do what they want, right? But depending on what era in society we are, it's a little more hush hush. Whereas now it's very open. All these men just getting all these bitches and blah blah blah. It's very open in your face, right? And it pisses guys who are not succeeding off. But if you have a more conservative society, it's a little more hush hush, and the men kind of just succeed in the background. But people generally know, right? But the men in the middle and men at the bottom, they got to find some fucking way to succeed. So they'll just do whatever it takes. And because of that competitive ruthlessness, if there becomes a time when high-value woman and high-value man are at odds, or just any time, because they're going to take whatever they can get, because, again, they're ruthless, they're going to side with the woman, because their natural wrong logic, but their natural logic is that, well, if I side with the man, well, what's this man doing for me? I don't give a shit about him. I'm not going to suck his dick, right? But this girl might suck my dick. So I'm going to side with her for the very faint possibility that she might touch my pee-pee, right? And so you can actually understand a lot of argument, or a lot of behaviors out there are just extensions of competitive competence or competitive incompetence. And in the most cases, most people are incompetent, right? Most people out there have dog shit relationships. This is also something I actually believe. Most relationships I have seen, I think are not worth having. And I would not accept anything but a relationship that I am in, because I've learned how to have an ideal relationship. But that's because I'm very ambitious, right? Different people are okay with different levels of success, but I'm generally interested in as successful as I can be. Now, what that means is a whole discussion altogether. But I don't like most people's relationships. But that doesn't mean I think most women are X. And generally, we'll just say evil. I don't think most women are evil. I do think most people are just average and boring as fuck, with some very few exceptions, especially when it comes to knowledge of romance and seduction. I think it's probably one of the biggest failures in society. I think there's far more successful people in art or finance or business or et cetera than there are people who are really good at this. And I don't just mean guys who can get laid a lot. I mean guys who are genuinely successful but also healthy and like positive. I think it's one of the most rare things in the world, because this art of seduction and relationships is the most complicated, or one of the most complicated things on earth. I think it's probably more complicated than even, set theory mathematics. Like, think of the most fucking difficult academic shit ever. Theoretical physics. I think it is on that level of complexity, because you are dealing with the human mind. And that is so incredibly complex, because the variables aren't clear. And there's so many lurking variables that you're not even looking at, right? So that was just meant to tell you, I don't think everything is hunky-dory. I'm not trying to make that case. What I'm trying to say is that I don't think that you are accurately assessing most women as being evil, right? I actually personally, because I am a straight man, think most women are pretty cool, but that's because I'm attracted to them, right? So they have an extra layer of a potential relationship with me that's not available for men, because I'm not gay. But if I was, I would probably, if I was a woman, I would probably actually, if I had the same ability to, diagnose things as I do as a man, I would probably like most men, right? Because I would think that men have a lot of cool characteristics. So I can understand that, like, I guess, scientifically, but I don't personally experience it because women have a special relationship with me because I want to fuck them, right? But I understand that bias. I'm able to see it and extract it from my assessment, right? From my evaluation. But I want to make ultra clear, I don't think we're in some hunky-dory paradise. There's a lot of fucked up shit. But I don't think that at any point in history, women have been inherently flawed because they're women. And even if there's societal changes, which a lot of guys think now, oh, modern women. Bro, there are so many references in history where men are complaining about women being hoes and sluts and degenerate and blah, 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 blah. I mean, even the Lord Buddha was talking about civilization at his time in 500 BC. And essentially said something like, people these days are so, they're obsessed with sensual pleasures, right? This is true, at least for recorded history, right? So I don't want you to think that somehow 1,000 years things were very different. I think for the past 2,500 years things have been pretty much the same. We just have more communication now. I mean, there's more things that are visible because of the technology that we have, right? You can make a case that things are maybe getting a little bit worse. Okay, sure, but I don't think it's been some drastic change where women fucking evolved in the past 50 years, right? And suddenly their true nature was revealed and the vampire fangs came out. I don't see that because I have so many great reference points of women being awesome, right? That's the main contradiction to all these things is I've seen women be amazing. I have seen women be there for me. For the most part, I would say that overall women have helped me more than men. It's close. There have been some really great men who have helped me. But I think that when it comes to overall supportiveness, I've been more helped by women in my life than men. And I've met some really great men. I'm not saying men suck. I'm just saying I've met some really, really amazing women, both in romantic and sexual contexts and non-romantic and sexual contexts, right? And so it's impossible for me to have the perspective that women suck because I've just seen enough exceptions that it's definitely not the rule. And I've seen enough situations where women were neither amazing nor shitty. They were just whatever, They were nice. They were pretty. They were not, totally evil cunts trying to ruin my life, right? There have been girls like that, but there's also on the opposite side been girls at the top 1% and girls at the bottom 1%. But the majority of women are kind of just somewhere here, right? And so if you don't have that experience spectrum, I don't trust your analysis. I think you're just fucking inexperienced and wrong. Because I just know you're wrong. But if you've had nothing but bad experiences, dog, you just suck. It's a fucking skill issue and you need to fucking get a fucking grip, dude. Right? Because you are the consistent problem. You're either a bad judge of character or you're just not attractive, so you're naturally going to be attracting the bottom of the barrel. So you need to get better. You need to be more charismatic. You need to be more funny. You need to be more sexy. You need to dress better. You need to groom yourself better. You need to learn how to hold conversations and read social cues and read body language and read facial expressions. You need to think better. You need to make yourself smarter, which is very possible. All of these things you need to do. You need to get fucking good. Then you can start attracting higher quality women. Now, at a certain point, it just becomes subjective. Like what kind of What kind of personality do you like to be around? But I think when it comes to characteristics of what makes a healthy girlfriend, this is where things actually get pretty objective. My stance is that physical beauty and emotional, personality preference is very subjective. But the third quality, the quality of objective girlfriend qualities, they are objective. Because they are just really good indicators of stability. But sometimes your emotional, her physical is just like, she looks the way she looks. But a lot of times men's emotional preferences are going to be in conflict with what's healthy because what they like is inherently not stable. Okay? And again, that's a skill issue. In this case, a discipline issue. You're not willing to, you should never have to sacrifice for looks. You should find your ideal girl, whatever it is that you really like in a woman. But if you are attracted to something that is inherently bad in a relationship, that's a you problem. And you have to recondition yourself because you were conditioned to like it by something. I don't know, fucking mommy issues, your first bad relationship, who knows, right? But you need to uncondition yourself from that and then recondition yourself towards something more healthy, okay? And those women exist out there. And if you don't think they do, it's because you suck or you just haven't even tried, which most of the time, those go hand in hand. Most men who suck just gave up, right? There are some guys out there who just bash their head against the wall and they just continue to be dog shit. You are a special breed. I admire your persistence, but you need to rethink your strategy. Okay, you got the work ethic, but you're working hard, not smart. Okay, but I want you to evaluate any anger. And there's guys watching this right now who are like, "Oh, I'm not angry with women," but you probably actually have some anger with women somewhere deep inside. This is actually true with a lot of my clients, even the ones who are very healthy, and even with me for a long time. If I look at myself now, I would say that I probably don't really have any large angers towards women. I don't, after what I've experienced, I don't, that doesn't mean I can't see it. Let me make this very clear. I can meet a girl and be like, that bitch is a fucking cunt. Like, I'm not fucking, Disney over here. Okay. I am very aware that there are bad people in this world. Right. But here's what I see. I see a bad person who happens to have a pussy. Now, her particular set of behaviors might be specialized because she has a pussy, right? She could be some entitled fucking stuck-up bitch because, men simp after her and let her get away with it. I very easily can recognize that. I'm not dumb, okay? But I don't go, oh, it's because she's a woman. I go, she happens to have a female body in this lifetime and a generally female disposition and demeanor and energy. But she's just a fucking piece of shit person. If she was a dude, she'd be doing the same damn shit, just in a different way, because she'd be a dude, right? I don't think it's an inherent flaw of femininity, right? So I guess that's what I was really getting home at, is that you can't judge the femininity itself from this girl, this girl, this girl, this girl. You have to have a very good sample size and a very good ability to dig deep down with your fucking mind and look at everything that's happening and go, where is the femininity itself causing these issues? And here's the ultimate answer, and this is where you can clip it. This is the explanation for why these things happen. You are seeing a combination of shitty, immoral behavior. That person happens to have a female body, right? And then because you are attracted to women, you have a lot of emotions that are imbued into understanding how people are, or in this case, women, a subset of people, right? You have a lot of emotions involved. You have one of the strongest, if not the strongest emotion, lust. It's tied up in that bundle of fucked up shit. And because you have so much desire and craving involved with this, when you see bad behavior, happens to have pussy, and I want pussy so bad, you have a fucking nuclear goddamn explosion in your heart because of all of these variables crashing into each other and creating that chemical reaction on a subatomic level that just disintegrates the whole universe of your perception of the world around you and the people around you. And the same goes for women. They lust after men so much. You don't get it, dog. Women love dick. They love men. They are so attracted to men. That's why you see them being just as fucking retarded and toxic as the men out there, right? They see shitty fucking behavior. It happens to be attached to a slanging cock. And then they have so much lust because they want to suck and get fucking stuffed by cock. And then that creates their own fucking super atomic Tsar bomb times a billion nuclear explosion. And then they're just filled with anger and rage. It's a big bang of gang rage, right? So you have to go into this chaotic volcano of emotion and try to, first of all, you have to be able to handle it. Then you have to look and say, okay, where did the women fuck up and where did I fuck up? And then realize that none of it has to do with men or women. It has to do with people and making choices. But on the surface, because of the things that I explained, because of the way that sexual competition works, plus the pendulum swing of society going from conservative to liberal, where either men are super way too much in charge or women are super way too much in charge. But even then at the top are men, right? Because that's how the dynamic works between men and women, right? So you have these two factors that are changing how the game is being expressed. It's like a randomly generated, you ever play those games, either roguelites or something like No Man's Sky, just randomly generated planets, right? So you're getting a randomly generated environment with all sorts of different mobs and NPCs and mountains and forests and fauna and flora. Fancy words. Well, I guess not that fancy. But you have this environment and then you're in it, so you're experiencing it, right? But your mistake is that you are judging it by the way it's expressed rather than the foundational values of just people being dog shit or you being dog shit. So the only thing that you can attract is other dog shit because you suck. You're not attractive enough to attract the higher quality shit. In the same way that any skill on this earth works, right? You're a fucking awful artist, so people won't pay you for your art, or they'll pay you $5 because you suck, right? You're a dog shit musician, so the only thing you can make is the high school band, and you're in third chair, right? But if you were fucking amazing at blowing wind in that little metal flute, you would be first chair, and then you would be, accepted into an art college, and then you would go play for a fucking symphony, and then you'd be world renowned, right? You'd be at the top because you are the top. But you can't be at the top if you suck dick, because being the top means you bend shit over and fuck it. But if you're a bottom bitch, you're going to get bottom bitch shit. Make sense? Okay, cool. Stop viewing the world by the way the environment is expressing it. Understand the fundamental values that are happening, which is people being shitty and then you experiencing those people and you not telling them to fuck off and ignore them and go after the great people because you yourself are great. Have I made myself abundantly, unambiguously clear? For some of you, no. Some fucking retard is going to watch this or not watch it. They're going to click on it to leave a comment, and they're going to go back to their sorry-ass life. Or they're going to watch this, they're going to somehow fucking misunderstand everything I said and still leave a dumbass comment. But I've been doing this a long time. I'm used to it. I know how to handle it. I either laugh at them and ignore it, or, you know, I'll put my dick on the table and give a response. Who knows? We'll see. Find out next time on Pokemon. Fuck. Whew. 1 second, I gotta take a breath. Was there anything I missed there? Nope. Take responsibility. I got some notes over here on my. Yeah, I kind of missed a part. I only got at the end there where I'm like, you know, if you are angry with some bad women, I mean, use that knowledge to avoid them next time. Because like I said, I'm not trying to invalidate that you had a bad experience, right? Well, I guess I did kind of go over it where I was like, I understand that bad shit can happen, right? I understand that there's dog shit women out there. I just avoid them. I mean, if there's an IED in the road, I'm going to fucking drive around it. And then go fuck, you know, Burka Batty in the mud hut, right? So, Jesus Christ, Hector. My real savage sense of humor came out right there. I try to keep a lid on it these days, but Jesus. All right, cool. Anyways, great note. Most people are not going to be watching the end of this video, so we're good. Anyone who would not appreciate that joke probably hasn't made it this far in the video. Watch me be totally wrong and this goes viral and someone's like, clip that, this motherfucking piece of shit making this joke. I don't know. Anyways, cool. That was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope this leads to happiness and prosperity. And I love you guys. And I make these videos because I love you. Obviously, I want to be successful professionally and financially. So I have some self-interest in here. But I do want you guys to succeed. So, sorry, I was messing with my cup over here. I have some ants. They are attracted to my Mountain Dew. God, I just really fall apart at the end of videos. But maybe it's good. Maybe I get a little bit more candid. I'm not in my TED Talk mode. I'm more in my like chill talk to you mode. Cool. So if you have any questions, leave comments. I'll try to respond. If you're interested in learning from me and working with me one-on-one, sign up for a coaching consultation in the description below. I have shit also that you can buy in the description. Check it out. All right, guys. Love you. Stop being so angry. There's no point.